Hi, welcome to My Two Tips podcast. This is episode 5. So today is April 5th, which is also my 5th episode, so that's kind of a quinkydink. Sorry, I have an itch. Yeah, hi. So I'm Elise. I'm the host of this podcast. If you are a returning viewer, hi. Thanks for tuning in again this week. I think there are now 95-ish people subscribed to my podcast, which that's really cool. Really, really cool. So thank you to everybody who's subscribed and to everybody who's watched and hasn't subscribed. I'm cool with that too. Yeah, if this is your first time checking out the podcast, hi, welcome. Thanks for checking out my podcast, especially if you're watching a lot of podcasts and you've chosen mine for a little bit of your viewing pleasure. That is super cool. Thank you. Again, if you're new, this is my podcast. It's a knitting podcast. I hope you like it. Come on back next week for more yarny goodness and me tripping all over my tongue, because that technically happens every time. It's a super rainy day outside. It looks maybe less rainy than it was earlier this morning, but it's still a wet gray. It's kind of a chilly day too, so we'll see how this goes. So I've switched the room around a little bit. You still see the same thing, but now the desk in front of me is this way rather than this way. So I have a little bit more room for all the crap in front of me, essentially. Hopefully I won't kick the table. No shaky. My stomach just growled. I don't know if you heard it. Usually it gets pretty rowdy. Yeah, I guess I will tell you about the sweater that I'm currently wearing. It is my Clark pullover, which is a pattern by Jane Richmond. I knit this sweater for Jane when she was testing the pattern, and that started back in the summer, August, I think. Yeah, I think I started it August 30th of this past summer. So we had about maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks to finish it. I was late because I ran out of yarn, which was really, really upsetting to me personally. Jane was pretty cool about it. She, it wasn't make or break, which is good. It was just crazy. So this is the Clark pullover. It's a striped one, obviously. At the bottom, the hem is split, which I really think is kind of neat. First time I did one of those. And because it's striped, and stripes go all the way around, you end up doing jogless stripes. Oops, is this the wrong one? Wrong side, turn the wrong way. Sorry. So this is all jogless stripes down there. And you can kind of see them just slightly, like where they are. There's a nice little line that runs up there. But it turned out really, really good. I'm so happy with the sweater. I'm going to move forward a little. Sorry. Yeah, love this sweater. So like I said, I test knit the pattern for Jane Richmond, who is the designer. I treated myself quite a bit for this sweater. So in the pattern, she calls for Yoth DK, or Yoth Big Sister, sorry, which is their DK weight base yarn. It's lovely yarn. I quite enjoy it. It's, I've worn the sweater a few times. There's a little bit of pilling, which is fine. I mean, you're going to kind of get it in the armpits and like on the sides if you're walking around a lot in it and rubbing up against it. But it doesn't, to me, it doesn't look like, oh, you need to take some time and kind of clean that up. So that's really nice. The colors I used, the gray is Portobello, and the beigey tan color is Shiitake. So I kind of refer to the sweater as my striped pullover à la champignon, because both of those colors are mushroom names. So I thought that was kind of fitting. The base, the Big Sister base is an MCN base. So it's, I mean, yeah, it's so nice. It's really, really nice. It's cozy, it's comfy. I love the fit of the sweater. I don't think I did anything, I'm trying to remember. I didn't switch the pattern up in any way. Like, I'm a pretty short person, but the measurements on it work pretty well for me, I thought. If you're looking for a really well written pattern, go for one of Jane's patterns. Like this one I think would be a great first sweater for somebody. You learn some new things, which I think is great, like the little jogless striping bit. That was new for me. So easy, so easy. You just have to do it. I think that's the biggest thing, is once you know, when you're knitting, there's so many techniques out there. There's so many stitches, skills, whatever. Usually, they're not that difficult. Cabling, I've done that. It's not that difficult. Once you've done it, you just kind of have to go into it, tackle it. If it's for you, great. If it's not, then that's totally fine too. But I find, you know, once you've actually done something with knitting, piece of cake, done. On to the next thing. So that's what I'm wearing today. I love this thing, and I'm glad I'm wearing it today because we've turned the heat off in our apartment, which for the last while it was fine. I mean, it was quite warm. At night it still gets chilly, but I mean, we've had sunshine and I got some color a little bit. Not that it takes much for me. I mean, I'm pretty darn white that a little bit of sun goes a long way for me. So it's chilly in here. I'm glad I'm wearing the sweater. Do I wish I kind of had some warmer pants on? Yes, but that's okay. I do have tea with me here today. Earlier this week I've been on a coffee kick. I've been making lattes at home, which I quite enjoy, because I do have a milk frother here, which I love it. I love me some whipped milk products. But today it's just plain tea. It is Tetley Bold, kind of my old faithful tea when I don't feel like fussing around a whole bunch. So that's what I'm drinking. But on to the knitting, I guess. Let's go. So I only have one FO for the week, which, whatever, it's fine. So these are my game day socks. I'm so happy with them. I think they are fantastic. The yarn I used is from the Cozy Knitter. It's on her Bliss base, and it's obviously self-striping yarn. This is her Come Together colorway, which is the hashtag that went around for the Blue Jays last year as they were making their way to the World Series. So I started these on March 29th, which was just last week, and it was quite funny. As I started these, I was kind of showing them to my boyfriend, and he's like, "What are you knitting?" I was like, "Oh, I'm knitting a pair of socks." He just kind of looked at me with this face like, "Really? You're knitting another pair of socks?" Yes, I am. Yes, indeedy. And then we had this like kind of funny little conversation. He's like, "Well, what are you gonna do with all these socks? Like, how many socks do you need? And I just blatantly said, I need all the socks. All of them. And he just kind of looked at me, and then I was like, well, these ones are special. Like, these ones are for the Jays. They're going to be my Jays game. Like, lucky socks. He's like, oh, okay, I get it. They're all special in their own way. So he's catching on. He's definitely catching on, but these are them. I finished these on April 2nd, which, let me take a quick peek. So, sorry, nose is running a tiddly bit. I don't have any Kleenex near me. So I cast these on the Tuesday, and I finished them technically Saturday morning, I think is what I have, because that's when I wove in the ends, but the actual knitting was done the Friday night. And on Saturday, it was the first game that the Jays played, I'm pretty sure. I could be totally wrong about the dates, but I don't use the calendar that well. Yeah, so these took me no time at all. Knits up so fast, but for those of you who have knit self-striping, you know. They're done before you know it. And with this yarn too, with these skeins from Christina, she includes a little mini skein for the heels, toes, and cuffs, and that was fun. I still have some of it left over too, so I don't know, I'm happy with having yarn left over. It's just crazy. We'll talk more about that later. But yeah, so that's my FO, which also happens to be double dipping for me into some cows. So these are my second pair of socks for the Stripey Socks cow, which finishes up on April 15th, which is being hosted by Candace of Pin Feathers and Pearls podcast. And yep, so that's one cow. The second cow that these are being included in is my Box of Socks cow, and I think these are pair number 6, if I'm right. So that's awesome. I'm just motoring along with these socks, and I'm thinking I'm gonna have to get some sock blockers because I like the way they look on podcasts when podcasters show them on sock blockers. So at some point I'll have a set of my own. But oh, and the stripes on these guys, because I've also noticed, I mean, they totally do match, especially when they're on my feet. They totally do. I like matchy socks. They just make my heart happy. They make my OCD little bit of me so happy, because I can stand when people are wearing like their socks that are mismatched, but there's something that just, it makes me uneasy when I'm knitting and the stripes on my stripey socks don't match. If I'm knitting like a variegated skein into a pair of socks, whatever happens, and that's fine. But when it comes to stripes, I'm gonna make them all matchy as close as I can. So those are done. That was my only FO for the week. I do have some whips, so I will show those to you. So they are living, yes, there is 2. They are living in my Nitty Kitty bag, which, I love it. So this is a bag from the Etsy shop, The Fawn and the Fox, and it is owned, run, stocked by Laura, who is the Fawn Knits. And this is one of her bags, her sock bags, with the thicker interfacing that she uses. And it's, I mean, as much as it is thicker, it's not stiff by any means. Like, you can totally, and I kind of squish my bags into my backpack that I walk to with work, wherever. So totally great. I love it. So on the outside, Kitty's a million with little yarn balls. And on the inside, there's more yarn balls. I love it. So cute. So the first pair of socks that I started, think I started both of these on Sunday. So, put that over there. So the first pair I cast on was the Wildflowers in Honeycomb pattern by Olivia Villarreal. Her moniker, nickname, handle on Ravelry and Instagram is This Handmade Life. So you've probably seen her around. She's got gorgeous photography. And this is possibly her second pattern. Maybe. So the yarn I'm using, I'm just going to show you this first, is yarn from Kaleidoscope Dye Works, who is dyed by Allie out in Alberta, Sherwood Park or something like that. It's gorgeous. So this is obviously a pink base with lots of hot pink, some orange, purple. Yeah, I love it. This is her Miss Bojangles colorway. So if you're looking for it, it's fantastic. I love it. And it is on her 80/20 BFL nylon base. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Love it. And this is what I have of the sock so far. Super cute. I love it. And from here you can totally see like there's eyelets. Like there's a row of like these little eyelet flowers. I love them. I think they're so pretty. I've been wanting this kind of stitch on a pair of socks for a while. I wonder. Yeah, there you go. So I love it. I think they're cute. I did change the pattern a very tiny bit. Cuff, I'm a big fan of the long tail cast on. Mine is quite stretchy, I find, stretchy enough for me. And I'm pretty quick at it. I think the pattern says Old Norwegian cast on, which is a pretty stretchy one as well. And then it's like a rib, twisted rib, I think. I think that's a twisted rib cuff. Anyway, she says, I think it's only written up for one size, which is totally fine. A lot of people use a 64 stitch cast on. I don't. So I just went right off the cuff, my 72 stitches, and it's fine. I believe the pattern stitch repeat is over 8 stitches, so from 64 to 72, not a problem. But I love those. I love the way they're working out. I think I'm at the point where I can start the heel flap already. So that was like one session of knitting. Not even a whole evening of my knitting. And I'm already done one leg. Not bad. Pretty good. Just flies off the needles. Put that back in there. And the second pair I started on Sunday night as well is the very popular right now, very popular Fine and Dandy socks. And this pattern is written by the Sweater Co. And her first name is Jess. And that's what I've got. So that, I think this is, I did maybe 2 rows of flowers last night, but everything from my finger down was the first night, was Sunday night. So I'm really happy with this. It's my first toe up pattern, which is fine. I'm not converted, I don't think, to doing toe up. It's so fiddly in the beginning because there's just nothing on the needles and you're kind of going, I don't know. To me, it's just super awkward. It feels very, very awkward for me. I did obviously switch up the toe to be the rounded toe that I typically use for all my socks. Because I know that the wedge toe that is written for a lot of patterns just does not fit my toes. Doesn't work for my feet. So I figured, why go down that route and be disappointed right from the get-go? No point. So it's working out quite well. Again, for this one, I believe the pattern, she's written it up for 64 stitches. I know she came out with either a bigger size or a smaller size, but I just increased up to my normal 72 stitches. Again, the pattern works evenly over the 72 stitches as well, pretty sure. Looking all right so far. The yarn I'm using for this one is the yarn that came with my Nitty Kitty kit from the Fawn and the Fox. And this yarn is in the colorway Let's Stay Home. And you can see it. Comes some of the nice parts. Okay, so that's a pretty good shot there. Like, it's a very light pink base again. And then there is some like golden yellows that are just kind of lightly in there. But then you get quite a bit of like bits of color. So there's like some hot pink, there's some blue by my finger, there's green. Somewhere there was some of the purple. I love it. It's great. Like, it's a very comforting colorway. So I think like she named it Let's Stay Home. Home to me is comfort. It works. Totally works. Love it. And on the back of the sock, you can kind of see all those colors coming through, which is really nice. Like, it's nice to see them all there. In the cake, I find it's kind of hard, but and on the front, there's some of it too, and I think the flowers are popping nicely enough. There's one, this one here's a little bit scrunched up, just a tad. I don't think it's an issue. I think it'll be quite fine when I wear it, and if it gets blocked, I think it'll be fine. Yeah. Excuse me. So that is my second whip, and for that one, I was watching Socksetra's latest episode, which I think is episode 11, maybe, don't quote me on it, with Shannon, and she has also started these socks. And she found because there's a cow going on for it, hosted by Jacqueline of the Brooklyn Knit Folk podcast, and somebody else who I haven't tuned into yet. It might be the Yarn Junkie podcast. Maybe. I will check. I will get that information for you. I just haven't been overly concerned with it myself. But Shannon, on her podcast, kind of gave like this piece of lovely advice, which I took full on. And somewhere in a thread for the cow, somebody gave the tip to use a little like crochet hook to pull the flowers through. Yep, do it. I tried to do it with just my needle. I was getting frustrated. I wasn't enjoying it. Glad I had this in my notions pouch. So those are my whips. Yeah, it's going well. I think I'm starting to lose a little bit of what kind of sunshine is faking its way through the window. But we'll see. Maybe I'll open the blind a little bit more. So that was whips. I did my FO. Oh, I kind of wanted to show you what was in my notions pouch, because I have a little one that's pretty packed full of stuff all the time. So I took everything out so that I don't make a ton of noise to get everything out. But this is the first notions pouch I've ever had. And it is from Etsy. It's a store called Birch Grove by Christina. Christina is obviously the maker. It's a very cute little bag. I don't know the dimensions, but it fits a lot of stuff. There is a mushroom Progress Keeper zipper pull thingy-mabobber. And obviously it goes very well with the mushroom fabric. I guess I'm addicted to mushrooms. I like eating them too, so maybe I'll have some with dinner. But that's her label. You won't see, sorry if I just yelled, You won't see this exact bag in her shop. I did ask her to make this one for me, kind of custom ordered, because I saw this fabric as a lining on another bag that she makes, and I kind of went, ooh, is there a chance that I could get that as the bag outer fabric? And she said, well, yes, you can. And then I also picked just kind of a neutral, the neutral lining with the checks, because it doesn't distract me when I'm like digging around in here for stuff, so I like that quite a bit. So that's the bag, the Notions bag, pouch, whatever you refer to them as, in it. So there's a lot of goodies in here. I'll go through them kind of quick. If you have any questions specifically about where I got something or what I use it for, more than what I'm just going to say kind of quickly, message me, ask away. I will definitely get back to you. So, depending on my organizational skills, this little notebook is typically always in there. It's just little, I believe, I got it from like a little local bookstore. I love it. I think it's great. I mean, it's a notebook. It's nothing fancy. But it's got, whoops, lined pages, because I'm a big fan. And I just, you know, I keep little notes in there. I think I've done some charts in here too, just because I wasn't taking the pattern with me for something. Yeah, I did. So, in there, keeping my place right now, is this cute little bookmark, who also tends to live, like if I'm not marking a page, he's just in my Notions pouch, because I think he's pretty cute. So he's like a little llama, alpaca, something or other. Super cute, love it. I thought it was pretty fitting. What else do I have in here? Typically I have a pen. So this is the pen. I've also bought it for work because I need a pen all the time. It's technically like the 7-year pen. If it stays with me for 7 years and is still working, it'll be a miracle, because I tend to misplace, lose, I don't know. The house eats pens. So I like this one though. It's black ink, which is my favorite to write with. I've got a pair of scissors that are usually in there too. They're a little big, so I'm thinking I need to get a smaller pair, possibly something like, what are they called? The Haya snips. Maybe. I think that would just fit in a lot nicer and free up some space. Not that these don't fit nicely in my pouch, but they're just a little big. I don't need that big of scissors for cutting ends. I don't use this anymore, but this was my first pom-pom maker, which is just 2 cardboard cutouts. That lives in there. I've got some more bookmarks, which are a macaroon and a cupcake. They're super cute. And I've got this little thing of stitch markers, which they're not my favorite. I actually don't like these at all. I find them too big for a lot of the projects that I use because they are bigger. They're thicker, kind of plasticky. If I start knitting with a lot of like chunkier weight yarn, I'm sure it'll be fine. Washi tape is in there because I like to use washi tape to mark my patterns. A measuring tape, measuring tape, which I do use occasionally, but it's in there. These have been in there just so that I know where they are. These are little like handmade tags that you can attach to like your finished project. I got these in a yarn order from Allie of Kaleidoscope Dye Works with one of the orders that I've gotten from her. There is this little handful of yarn oddments, bits and pieces. Yeah, those are in there. They come in handy for waste yarn more so than anything. I've got some random stuff in there, so like key identification plastic toppers. Lip chap is always a good thing to have in my Notions pouch because I use lip chap all the time. So this one is LICHEN, and it is the lemon hibiscus scent, flavor, smell. I really like it, actually. And I'm thinking it'll be kind of a really nice little stitch marker holder when I eventually use up all the lippy chap inside. So eventually that'll hold stitch markers. Got a pin that hangs out, or a button that hangs out in there from Tolt Yarn and Wool that came with an order. A button from my boyfriend's pants that fell off that need repair. Don't know why that's in there. I actually don't even know how it got in there. I have my RMT Massage Therapist Association membership pin. Again, don't know why it's in there, but it's in there. My darning needle, little chibi clover set. In there I also always keep one of the little tightening pins for my interchangeable needle sets. This little crochet hook, Susan Bates handy hoop tool thing. It's been in there for a long time. It's just the first time I've been using it with those socks. And then I think probably some of the most important stuff that stays in my Notions pouch. So there is this little tin of Madeline Tosh stitch markers, which are the little light bulby, clipless, or coilless ones. I think it's a pack of 30, and they came in like a gold, silver, and a black. So like if you're really getting fancy with your stitch markers, beginning of a row can be one color, all your repeats for lace work can be in a different one, whatever. In there I also keep another tightening pin for my interchangeable sets and a few of these like needle stopper guys because they're handy to have. So that's one stitch marker set that I actually use. And then the other one is this little one, which is from Fripperies and Buy Blots on Etsy. And I bought this, I don't know, a while ago. I think these were like my first real kind of nice stitch markers. So in it, there's another one that's missing. I don't know where it is, but it's a small size one of one of her like mini, what does she call these? Ringos. So this is the XL Ringo. I quite like this kind of style of stitch marker. I find the little bead on it helps just orient them nicely so that like they're not somehow flipping into the stitch on either side of them, which is nice. But the real ones that I ordered from her the first time around are these, these heart-shaped stainless steel snag-free stitch markers. Love them. Those are the big ones. And I also have the little ones, which I absolutely love these. I'm addicted to them. I love them. I think I still have every single one of them. Could be wrong. But I use those little heart ones on my sock knitting because, I mean, obviously they're a great size, but I really like the way the heart shape of those ones hug my needle so that they just work so nicely. I love them. Oh, and then this totally unrelated knitting thing that lives in my Notions pouch that I absolutely adore. Michelangelo. A little pop keychain that I love. I'm a huge Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan. I've got this guy over here too. He's on a stand, but how cute is he? So cute. And like all of his parts are movable, but I love him. He's so cute. So clearly Michelangelo was like my favorite, probably because he has a bit of a tood. We're a pair. So yeah, love that. That's my Notions pouch. I know a lot of people on Instagram have been kind of showing off what's in their Notions pouches, but I thought I'd show it on here. I guess acquisitions are next, which, yarn mail. So well, there's a little bit of mail and there's a little bit of like I actually went out and bought it. So on Wednesday of last week, I took a little day trip, Canadian here, to the States with a friend of mine. Hi, Kate. She had some errands to run and things, and I think it takes us all of maybe an hour and a half to get to the border. Not far at all. So that was fun. We went, but before we actually crossed the border, we went to 88 Stitches, which is a cute little yarn store out in Langley, BC. So check it out if you're in the area. We went to a yarn store. I bought yarn. Just kind of how it goes. So I picked up these two really pretty skeins of lichen and lace. Oops, sorry. Lichen and lace. Who is dyed by, I wrote it down, by Megan out in Sackville, New Brunswick. So it's Canadian. I didn't have to pay shipping. That's kind of a bonus. And these colors are so pretty. So the first one I got, I think it was the first one that kind of really caught my eye that wasn't super variegated. Because I kind of wanted something with some, with some difference, but not like blues and reds. Let's just, like, that's highly variegated. This is not highly variegated. So this is the Clover colorway. I don't even know. It's showing up a little bit more of like a hot pink more than anything, but there's definitely more kind of purple to it. Think of like clover blossoms or even some lilacs and hydrangea bushes. That's kind of better. Anyway, I think it's super pretty. It's on her superwash merino fingering 2-ply 400 yards to 100 gram skein. So that's super pretty. And then this one, equally as pretty, but definitely more purple. Definitely more like that lilac wheelhouse, which I love. So this one is her sock base, her 80-20 sock base, 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and it's 115 grams for 420 yards ish. And this is the Amethyst colorway. So it's kind of picking it up. There's pretty good. It's got the lilac purple, but it's also kind of got like a lot of this, like, I want to call it silver because it's kind of like whitey gray. It's so delicate. It's so pretty. I kind of end up thinking about people who have like dyed their hair kind of that gray lilac-y silver color. I love it. I think it's cool. So I don't exactly know what these are going to be, but I just love them. I've admired her stuff on Etsy for a long time. And the label, I mean, how... It's adorable. It's absolutely stunning. The detail in it is cool. Like, who stitches their labels like that? Totally unique. Love it. Great job. But these might have to be something together. I just don't know. Originally, they were supposed to be the Fine and Dandy socks and the Wildflower and Honeycomb. There we go. But that clearly didn't happen. So these are still waiting. At 88 Stitches, I also picked up a copy of POMPOM Quarterly. This is the spring 2015 issue. I've had my eye on it for a while. I haven't been like the biggest follower of POMPOM, but lately they've kind of caught my eye more often, I guess. Except the last issue has a lot of crochet patterns in it. I like quite a few of them, but I am so not, I don't want to crochet. I think that's really what it gets down to. No. I think it can look beautiful and great, but there's something about working with like that crochet hook. Not my thing. So, I don't think I'm going to get, what was that, the spring 2016 issue maybe? Maybe it was even summer. Anyway, so the pattern that I absolutely love, 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 I always forget, yeah, is the, don't quote me on the pronunciation, the ELSKE socks, which are a beautiful, beautiful colorwork sock pattern. I think I've had these like in my library on Ravelry for, well, obviously since like spring of 2015. Love them. Absolutely love them. Except they're a toe-up pattern. So maybe I'll have to do another one. We'll see. But that will probably be my last toe-up pattern. Probably. So that's in there. And then there's also this, I want to call it loose. Or loose. It's a top, which I think is really pretty. It's kind of like a boxy top, but still feminine enough that you don't look like you're just wearing like a really ratty old, way too big shirt. I believe this is knit out of lace weight as well, so clearly I'm on like a lace weight kick. But I like it, so I'm so glad I got this actual physical book, because that's something else I've realized over the last little while, that I really like having the physical book. There's something, and I mean the photography in here and a few of the articles and things like that are just, they're really nice to look through and read, and they're just a nice book to have, or magazine in this case. And you get the digital copy anyway, so I'm pretty happy about that. But very happy that I got that. Just move this away. And so like actual yarn mail that came. Last week I talked about a few like tops and sweaters and stuff for the Tees, Tanks, Tops cow that Shannon Cook hosts. So I bought yarn for that. Breaking the yarn diet. What yarn diet? So this is Quince & Co. Oops, sorry. Sparrow. Which is their organic linen fingering base. The first color I got is Truffle, which I think is really pretty, kind of silvery purple. Love it. So I'm pretty sure this is going to become that May cardigan that I kind of showed last week. And then the other one I got is, again, the Sparrow base from Quince & Company, but it is the Sans colorway. So S-A-N-S, which in French really means without. So I have a feeling this is their actual undyed color. In person, I feel like there's a little bit more yellow that comes through, but it's definitely neutral, beigey, tan. Lovely. Love it. So I'm pretty sure this is going to become the Tristania top that I also talked about last week. So the only thing that I need to really do for both of those is some math. So if you recall last week, they're both lace weight patterns, or written up as lace weight, that this is fingering. So got some math to play with. But I think I'm okay, because technically if you're using like, okay, let's talk lace weight, I guess, because that's what the patterns are written for. So they're written up as lace weight on X needle, should use X amount of yardage for such and such a size. if I were to go up a needle size and change the gauge, I would use less yarn. So I'm thinking, because I'm using fingering weight, which will mean a bigger needle size, I will use less yarn. I think. If you guys know different, and if you think that I'm just talking complete gibberish, poppycock, garbage, lies, let me know, and I will gladly take, you know, whatever truth that it actually is. If I'm right, great. If I'm wrong, please tell me and give me some warning. But anyway, I haven't done the math yet. I just bought the yarn. It was on sale. It was on sale, so I think here it's supposed to go for like almost $14 for each little 15 grammy, or not 15, 50 gram thing. I got it for like 9.5. Not bad, just over 9.5. So I saved some money. Also, last week in the mail, I got something in my mailbox, which I'm going to call it kind of impulse, kind of like panic purchase. So, Sweet Georgia Yarns, which I think a lot of everybody knows about, is a Canadian-based dyed yarn here in like the Vancouver area. She's actually down in Surrey, I think. But this came to my mailbox because this is my favorite colorway that she has. Pretty much my favorite one. This is the one that first caught my eye in my attention to her yarn. And it is called Bourbon, which also is right up my alley. So, had to have it. I've been wanting it probably since I moved to Vancouver and found out about Sweet Georgia. For some reason, maybe last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, I was on her website just browsing at colors, looking for inspiration, reading up on her bases too, because I haven't, disclaimer, haven't found a base of hers or haven't used one that I'm like addicted to yet. I haven't found a favorite of hers. So just kind of reading and looking and researching, and I came to the colorways section of the website, and Bourbon wasn't there. Not there. So my panic set in. I went, what the? Where is my favorite colorway? Why can I not find it? So I emailed them over at like Sweet Georgia headquarters, and the reply back was super quick but super disappointing because they don't dye it anymore. This colorway has been discontinued. If you have one in your stash, love it, cherish it, pet it, whatever you want to do with it, because I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And if you have one, we're lucky. But it has since been discontinued. I don't even know when she dyed this one up, because in the email, she was going to look for me and see if they had any kicking around in the warehouse. They did. This is the Tough Love sock base. 80/20 merino nylon. I absolutely love it. So that, I'm so happy that I have this. I think if I mean, could I have looked at somebody's D-stash? Yes, but I don't want to take it away from somebody who hasn't been like, oh my god, somebody want this? Take it. Because you can't get it anymore. And I love it. So if I had never gotten my hands on a skein of my own in this colorway, I'd probably be really upset, actually. Which might seem, you know, a little materialistic, but I love it. It just, it's so pretty. I really, really love it. I don't know what it's going to be yet, because I want it to be like the perfect project for it. But it could probably be a really special pair of socks. But I'm also thinking like up around my neck, maybe that like hitchhiker shawl by, who's that one by? Martina Bem, I think. Yeah, I think that's who it is. I think that might work quite nicely, because this is variegated, so it's going to look all kind of crazy put together. but that might work pretty nicely. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that. So that was like yarn acquisitions, blah, blah, blah. All that good stuff that we all love to show each other. Yeah, so to wrap up this episode, there is a tangent coming, just so you know. But first, I really need to thank and want to thank Charlotte of the Charlotte and Gus podcast, who thanked me and mentioned me on her podcast and said some really nice things about me, which just really made me feel great. It made my heart kind of sing and like feel all lovey-dovey. It was great. So thank you. And the other one is kind of funny. So Jules, who is Diary of a Yarn Snob on Instagram, Ravelry, and that's her podcast as well, the Diary of a Yarn Snob podcast, who's hilarious. She's great. Kind of mentioned me on her last episode of her podcast. So she was talking about some shawls and inspiration and like podcasts that she's been watching lately. And she started talking, and I don't remember the exact words, but something along the lines of, was watching this episode, I think it might have been her first episode, and the young girl who hosts it, she's not a young girl, she's just younger than me. She was wearing this cameo shawl, white and yellow, really pretty, blah, blah, blah. And I was listening to it. I was totally listening to it, but I think I was knitting at the same time and kind of went, holy, whoa, wait a minute. I think she's talking about me, which is super cool. So that was kind of neat. Even though she didn't say my name, but I was able to pick myself out from the few mentions that she had on that episode. So I have messaged her. I did kind of say, hey, that was me. That was my shawl. Thank you. So thank you, Jules. That was really nice. And it's so funny that you were kind of like, oh, she's not a young girl. I don't mean that, but like, I totally didn't take offense to it at all. Like, there was nothing rude about how you were kind of describing me in a way, I guess. Totally acceptable. I feel like a young girl. And I think it's kind of an easy way to kind of give a description of somebody. Like, you guys watching my podcast right now see me as I am, whatever age you think I am. I'm 27. I don't feel kind of like what I thought 27 would feel like. So somebody calling me a young girl, I'm like, hell yeah, sister. I feel like maybe 23. Maybe? I don't know. And for me to see people that I know are clearly older than me, I would say, yeah, older woman, older than me. It's just kind of a nice, easy way to do it. Like, it just, I don't even think about it half the time. Like, I go, oh yeah, you know, like that older client that I have, or oh yeah, you know, the old man that lives across the street who's always, you know, poking around in our garbage. He's old. He's not my age. He's not Andrew's age. He's not, you know, close to us by any means. He's a little bit older. I don't mean any harm by it. I don't mean, like, whatever. So that's a little tangent, but that's fine. So thank you. And rubber, because I've obviously watched both of your podcasts and look forward to every episode. Like all the podcasts, because I don't watch them all. I hear a lot of names on other podcasts that I just haven't had the time to get into yet. I'm making my way through the rounds. So that kind of brings me to what I've been watching this week. So I watch all the normal ones. Other episodes, the one I've watched, some of the ones I've mentioned kind of earlier in the episode. If they had an episode this week, I've watched it. One of the podcasts that I'm trying to really kind of like catch up with and kind of like just poke around more into is the MILKSHED podcast, which I kind of feel like she actually calls it the Yarn Chat. on YouTube, which I think is super cute, super great, super clever. I think, because, I mean, what are we doing? We're chatting about yarn and yarny related goodness, so A+ on that one. But that's hosted by Steph, and she also has like the MILKSHED blog. I really like her. I really do. I'm pretty new to her podcast realm world, but I like it. I think the first episode I watched, I don't know, my memory is kaputs, but I think the first one I watched was when she mentioned like her ketone diet, and that was kind of like, ooh, okay, great, something new that I haven't heard anybody else talk about. I haven't met anybody in person who has that kind of diet plan or regimen in place, so that was kind of neat. And this week's episode that she came out with had something that totally, I was like, oh my, yes. Like, yes, bring this to light. And I think she said somebody else had mentioned it too, but she was talking about having projects that you knit. You like the pattern, you love the yarn, love the pattern, like the yarn, whatever. There's nothing wrong, except for some reason, you don't wear it. You don't use it. So if it's a shawl, it's just like been sitting where the heck it ended up. What good is that doing? And I, as she was saying that, I was like, oh my god. Yeah. Because I have this little shawlette, which there's nothing wrong with it. It's actually quite nice. Except for me, I just find it small. I don't find it easy to wear. Because this is how I like to wear little things around my neck, especially this like triangle shape. Now it looks fine. Well, not on top of the sweater, but you know what I mean. So I knit this thing probably a year ago. It took me about a day. Like, this thing was so fast. It's the Age of Brass and Steam shawlette shawl thing by the Orange Flower Yarn Design Company, whatever it is. And I use Sweet Georgia yarns. For some reason, I thought it was fingering. I knew it wasn't, but I was like, maybe it is. It's DK. It is superwash DK, 100% merino. I believe it's the Amethyst colorway. Clearly. Purple and pink episode. Yeah, I don't know. It's a fine It's a fine pattern, but I don't wear it. I don't wear it. I think I've worn it maybe. I tried to wear it once. It's not doing me any good. So I think I'm going to take Steph's I'm going to follow her down to the frog pond. See you there, because I think after this episode, I'm going to try to find the end, which I tried to do earlier, and I'm just really good at weaving in ends on this project, or there isn't one. I can't find it. Although, it's got to be somewhere, right? Maybe it's in there. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to frog this one because I don't wear it. And I love the colors that are in it. I really, really do. Like, all of these different purples and that hot pink. It's funny, actually, because Steph was talking about 2 pink, like hot pink shawls that she'd knit that are going to the frog pond. So we'll have like a pink and purple ripping frog party thing going on together. Which is fine, but what am I going to make with it? It's DK. Maybe a hat? I don't know. I don't know what this yarn wants to be. It clearly didn't want to be this. Because even as I was knitting, I was kind of like, It's working, but it's not what I want this to be. So we'll see what happens with it. I'm excited to use it again. I just know I don't know what it's going to be. So if anybody out there watching wants to shed some light on some like favorite DK projects, one skiing DK projects that they've done. Shoot me a message, maybe come and comment in the Ravelry group or comment down here in the commenty section. If there's something that comes to mind like, ooh, I knit this, blah, 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 maybe you would enjoy that too, and I'll go take a look and chances are probably knit it. But yeah, so I think you should also check out Steph's podcast. I think it's great. You can either find it by searching like MILKSHED podcast or Yarn Chat podcast, I would think. I will for sure search it while I'm editing and make sure that I put the right one up here so you can find her and check her out. But that's it for me today. Hopefully you stuck around to the end. If you did, great. If you didn't, that's fine too. Yeah. So, yeah. Thank you for tuning in. If if this is your 5th week coming to hear what I've got to say and see what I've been doing, thank you. Thank you so, so much. If this is your first time, thank you so much. Because it's cool. If, it's so neat to, have something out here in this yarn community, podcasting community for knitting. It's fun. I totally enjoy it. I don't know if people are super in love with it, but that's fine. Like, I'm not doing this to be Miss Popularity. I'm not. I'm just doing it because I was like, I'm watching so many of these damn things that why can't I do one myself? It'll be for me, self-satisfaction, gratification, and also somewhere to actually show people, like, what a project really looks like. Sometimes photographing things are hard. As much as I love it, it's just kind of cool to show people real time what I've been working on and what I've got done. So that's fun. I think I'm going to kind of call it a wrap on episode 5. Maybe next week I'll have some more fun stuff to talk about and things to show, but I do have to do my taxes, which I feel totally unprepared for this year, which really is stressing me out. Hopefully I can get a good jump on those tomorrow. Probably tomorrow. I don't work tomorrow either. So hopefully, and then we can go, and I'll see you again next Tuesday. Yeah. So you guys can find me there. Bye. Have a great week.